Welcome to the GameChanger 00100 show. I am your host, GameChanger. So, I didn't really know who Melyssa Ford was, or is, I should say. Apparently, I look at her IMDb. She's been like an extra in some movies, some black movies. She's been a video vixen, quote unquote, in certain '90s hip hop music things. Nothing really that stands out, nothing really that spectacular. She just so happens to be that. So anyway, and watching her, excuse me for a second, and watching her recently, apparently she has a show, a YouTube channel rather, much like mine's. It's just she spent her entire life in entertainment, and it doesn't seem like it's really taking her anywhere or going too far. Where she is expressing her opinions about decentering men, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I remember that some months ago she did a skit on perimenopause where she was talking about the symptoms. Apparently, you dry up down there, you turn into sandpaper, you gain weight. It's all of the bad symptoms that you have to deal with a woman. In fact, from my understanding, this is from having married friends and stuff. The only reason, and well, what they were saying was that most divorces is a result of that, meaning that that is a contributing factor of divorce. So the if you marry a woman in your 20s or maybe even early 30s or something, or in her 20s and early 30s, she becomes a completely different person once she hits perimenopause. And because you are married to the person that you didn't marry, and she is a different person than than who married you, and both of you have a decision to divorce, she might make that decision based on what her erratic hormones are telling her to do. In fact, I looked up the symptoms and it says, is a transitional period leading up to menopause characterized by irregular periods, and the symptoms are like hot flashes, night sweats, sleep disturbances, mood changes caused by fluctuating hormones. Now, I'm going to focus on that one for a second, and I'm not even going to get into the loss of libido, meaning that she's not going to want to give you none. Not even going to get into that. And this lasts for a 10-year period. And then after that begins actual menopause. I'm not even going to focus on that for a second. I am going to focus on fluctuating hormone levels. It means that you are not yourself. You are not regular in that sense. Hormones, in a very real way, dictates behaviors. That's why boys and girls who go through puberty behave different when their hormones change. They start to see men and women differently when their hormones change. Or excuse me, I should say they start to see boys and girls differently when their hormones change. That is the nature of hormones. People like this. And if you notice, like all of these Sinjis, all of the what do you call them? The sprinkle women, most of these women are either approaching or in their 40s, meaning that they are in this stage of life, meaning that you have a bunch of younger women listening to hormonally unstable women. Hit the like button. Spit knowledge here. Hit that like button. Greatly appreciate you. And this isn't just me talking, this is science. They are getting their advice from an emotionally unstable person. It's like on Game of Thrones, the Mad King. And we're going to get into the advice that she chooses to give and her disdain for the Manosphere? You see, years ago, back when she was fertile, nobody's heard of the Manosphere. Nobody considered it. Nobody really thought about it. This is not a old organization. This is not like a Black Greek fraternity or something like that, or just like a old Masonic order or some crap like that. No, this is a recent phenomenon. But it really, I'm looking at mainstream media. It's has really dug its claws into mainstream media to where they just have this disdain for it, and they have a fear of the awakening of men. Hit the like button. But let me just go into my history so we can bring this up and have a discussion on it. Gonna have a little discussion on it. All right. Get it? Got it. Good. All right. So let me see. Let me go to history and here we go. First of all, before I go too deep into it, let me see who's in the chat room. Okay, so I seen a bit of it. I seen from like minute 8 to like minute 14. And well, I seen up to minute 8, but I'm not going to play that because it's just about, apparently somebody questioned the preference of Charlemagne the God, and he just brushed it off, and she just encouraged it. Like, wow, way to get in touch with your, and toxic masculinity, all that crap. So I don't like hearing that. I think it's manipulation at its worst. I mean, basically, a lot of women at this stage in life, they want to bring men to their level. They want men to behave like them, so they want to redefine masculinity as sucking penis, I guess. So, yeah, so they can have a means of superiority. What's going on, Theo? All right, let's see who's in here. All right, so Dolomite, what's going on? Greatly appreciate you, brother. Jeff, salute to you. Eugene, salute. Let's see, what does Dolomite have to say? Dolomite says, Miss Ford thought Joe and the boys was going to ignore her track record and let her say anything. Who's Joe and the boys? Understand, I don't really follow modern stuff. So you got to give me details. You talking about Fat Joe? Like you got to give me some details, brother. Melissa Ford is yet another. I've been engaged multiple time queens. Of course. You see, here's the thing. I mean, look at her and imagine her younger and imagine her shaking it in a Tupac video. So I can imagine that she can go to a guy and put on her, white girl personality for a couple of months and he would just fall in love. He would just fall in love because, like Belle Biv DeVoe said, she's so fly, she'll drive you right out of your mind, steal your heart when you're blind. Beware, she's scheming, she'll make you think you're dreaming. You'll fall in love and you'll be screaming, demon. She's poison. They all pretend, but they can only hold the pretense for so long. I've seen it so many times in my dating life. They like the real them always, always come out. Now, even though some guys may propose before the real them come out, between the time of the engagement to the actual wedding, oh, you'll see the true them. You'll see the true colors shining through. And then you'll say, whew. Now, some of them, the most, the longest I was able to see a woman put on the facade was 3 years. That is the longest. But it always, the true colors always show. All right. Yannies. Is that a new coined phrase? It says the manosphere is pretty much an ideology. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's an ideology that threatens their ideologies because it questions and critiques it. They ignored slash mocked us, and then we won. Yeah, there is a number of men that they ignored and mocked, in all different categories. And that is not by accident, just so you know. In fact, Theo, I think that you may find this pertinent and disturbing, but I find it interesting in understanding human nature, especially female human nature, is that they ignore and mock the ones that they want because that's their long term mating strategy. This long term mating strategy comes from the core position that I'm deficient. This is a woman saying, I'm deficient. I have to convince this man to accept a deficient product. Now, the only way I can do that is to either get an equally deficient man or convince a non deficient man that he is equally deficient. Now, they're not going to accomplish this by throwing themselves at a man. They're not going to do that because, that would increase his confidence and increase his sense of self worth. So they ignore him, hoping that after a period of time, he will lower his sense of self value and appreciate hers to a greater extent. Now, this is a very failed tactic, and Melissa Ford's current situation and life story is a testament to how this is a failed strategy. However, it's a strategy nonetheless, and it's one that they employ. So, what you think is them ignoring you is actually something more sinister. 3 years is a hell of a high wire act. Yeah, it's really like imagine living with someone and not farting for 3 years. That's how difficult it is for them. Imagine doing like a whole bunch of stuff. Imagine like waiting for your partner to go to sleep first. So you could go to sleep, but you snore and you don't want the person to know that you snore. Imagine doing your hair, and I'm talking about fellas. Imagine, actually, lining up your fade every night before you go to sleep, and then waking up early and doing it again. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there. I'm just saying, imagine how difficult it is for them to pretend, to hold up this pretense. Okay, better yet, here's a better example. Imagine if you're a nerd and you pretend like you're a thug for 3 years. It'll be very difficult to maintain that facade. Vice versa. Imagine you're a thug and pretending that you're a nerd for 3 years. It would be extraordinarily difficult to maintain that facade. So that is the burden a lot of women have. Like, hey, she would have seemed like a catch to most guys, nerd, thug, otherwise. But it's her personality, which is something that's very difficult to mask over a long period of time. All right. So I'm going to go to the 8 minute mark. There we go. And let's begin.
Empowerment stuff. But a lot of times when you do have the women empowerment part of your algorithm, a lot of the other side is going to filter itself in. And that's the gender worry, um, masculinity versus femininity, whole rhetoric and stuff like that.
There is no masculinity versus femininity because masculinity complements femininity. There is, and vice versa. There is masculinity versus, masculinity as it is displayed from females. That's not femininity. You see, and somebody brought up this analogy yesterday. If a person is bitten by a zombie and unbitten humans were attacking the zombies, that is not a civil war. That is not a world war because you are not attacking a human, so to speak. You're attacking something that has been hijacked by a virus at the like button. And really, you're attacking the virus. And she, at this stage in life, is trying to infect others. Ever notice how it's always at this stage in life? She wasn't trying to empower women when she was making that money, bagging that thing up, was she? Oh, where was the woman empowerment? Nah. Shake it like a salt shaker, shake it like a salt shaker, shake it. Yeah, where was the woman empowerment then? You was living your best life then, right? 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 But now it's not too hot. I mean, it is hot because you're flashes, but now it's not as desired to see you doing that anymore. And now it's all of a sudden women empowerment. You know who else I can't stand does that? And I know that she suffered through an illness. Christina Applegate. you know like they get into their 40s, near 50s and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, woman empowerment and blah 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 blah. But she wasn't saying that when you would walk in the Married with Children set and everybody would just say, whoa, that's Kelly Bundy. You was getting that bag, wasn't you? Now that you got the bag and now that you are a hag, you're like, oh no, it's about women empowerment. Do not exploit yourself. You just don't want them to get the same bag you used to get. Anyway,
And it does start to, kind of like have an effect on you. I guess what it's not that I don't believe that there is a huge swath of the male population that is interested in growth and evolution and their mental health.
we have evolved. We evolved from a simp. Kind of like humans evolved from a chimp. We evolved from a simp to what we are today, and that is enlightened. What do evolution to people like this means to become more rainbow? All right. You see her neck wrinkles? See, there's certain unhideable signs of aging that their surgery don't always cover.
I'd absolutely believe that. I think that the ones that aren't, I think that the Manosphere, Red Pill Nation podcast bros, I think that they are so much louder.
But that's the loud minority a lot of
And
times.
then when you see the comments, well, no,
Okay, so we're so much louder. It's how many people in this chat room? It's not very loud. But no, it's because, and it's not. really that it's loud is because it's true. The people here are now enlightened and they enlighten others in their circle and it spreads. You don't actually have to go to the channels in order for it to spread. That's how you heard about it. That's how you heard about us. Not by going through our channels, but by talking to men who have, by seeing the change in behavior and outlook on you through degrees of separation.
Not only that, I mean, when you read cases like Giselle Pellicot, the woman in France,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
who's
Okay, she said this. I'm gonna read into this because and I don't know how to spell that, but Jezel. Okay. Giselle, woman in France, set up by husband. Let's see. Oh, no wonder. It's spelled with a G. Okay. French people just do stuff wrong. All right, let's see. For nearly a decade between 2011 and 2020. Her husband secretly put sedatives in her food and drinks while she was unconscious. He raped her and arranged for at least 70 other men whom he contacted online to come into their Mazin in South France and rape her as well. The men found their instructions in the chat room called without her knowledge. Let's see. The obtuse came to light in 2020. Okay. All right. So, a couple of things is going on here. I have known both through media and through actual life that there exist women who fetishize about these things. I'm not going to negate the possibility that she was in on this and she received certain pleasure from this. I'm not going to negate that possibility. I'm also not going to accuse her of that because I don't know. So I'm just going to leave that as an unknown. I am going to say that if this is the worst case scenario, then what we have here is a what's called a one-off. So much so that she is digging up cases from 5 years ago, really 15 years ago, in France to say, men are bad. You see, this is why we see she really is looking for a justification to bring people onto feminism, to support her cause. But the real reason to that she is a feminist and that she's bringing on feminists because she wasn't talking this crap way back when. The real reason that she's a part of it is because to eliminate other women as competition and to get the attention that she got when she was younger. That's the real reason. All right, let me just there's a link here. I'm gonna click it because I'm looking and this chick looks so damn old. Okay, let me just switch screens to this for a second. Okay, this is an old and very unattractive woman. Um, And I also think that she has been unattractive her entire life. That combined with a woman's overwhelming desire for attention really means that this is a possibility to be an attention ploy because no one will give her attention otherwise. Like if she was to lay down and tell 70 guys, "Hey, come and get it," they probably say no. But I mean, if she was to lay down and say, "Hey, I would like to fulfill your grape fantasy if you fulfill mine," then that would override what they see with their eyes. But nevertheless, and once again, I'm not going to accuse her of that, but I'm saying now that I see her picture, it does seem like that's more likely the case. The reason why I'm skittish on this whole thing, because the thought of holding someone captive in like dang, she's 71. She's 71. Oh hell, nope, nope, don't believe it. Don't believe it. Before I was like on the fence, like I was gonna say yay or nay. Now I'm gonna say a complete yay, nay. You, so 50 years old, 50 years old playing SE triple X games, 50 years old. Holy, okay. I'm still gonna ride the fence and say this is either, the musings of a desperate old biddy, or someone was somehow able to seduce somebody for 10. That is a lot of drugs. Secretly putting it in her food. What the? I'm just trying to imagine how that happens. Well, you see, he put it in my food, and then I fall asleep, and then 70 guys come in and take turns, and then I wake up, and then I cook breakfast, and every day we do the same routine for 10 straight years. I mean, there's a certain thing called incidents. And this is where like a million things could go wrong in something like that. I cannot imagine like everything playing out exactly as I just described like that for 3,650 days straight. All right, let's see. She told the court in Avagon she wants women who have been raped. Yeah, this is okay. To know it's not for us to have shame, it's for them. Yeah, exactly. Oh, somebody said the husband admitted it. Okay. I mean, did he admit it for a plea deal or what? I want all women who have been raped. Let's see. Did it? I can too. I don't want them to be ashamed any longer. She's referring to her request for an open trial, and yes, and okay, this goes into what I was saying. I want to be seen. I want attention because no one sees 70-year-old women that look like this. All right. I was taking the stand following the request for her legal team that she was given a chance to respond to the evidence and the testimony that has been shared so far at the trial. She said that over the last few weeks, she had witnessed various wives, mothers, sisters of the defendant take the stand and say the accused were exceptional men. Yeah. Okay. Somebody says, "Who wants to be graped for attention?" See, no one said that they want to be graped. I'm stating that she wants attention. Now, I think that there, and this is why so many of these trials always go to the disfavor of a man, because I think that men want to believe that women are incapable of telling this particular lie. And then when this goes through their mind, they always seem to forget the Emmett Till case. They always seem to forget all those brothers that was Lynnched. They always forget about those. They always forget about the Innocence Projects, where so many guys, especially the ones who are even ones who play guilty, when so many of these guys were found innocent for that very reason. They always seem to forget about Brian Banks. They always seem to forget that this is something that they are capable of and have done throughout history, not just through the Jim Crow South. All right, so moving on from this. So basically, women like to use these one-off, situations, stories that, may or may not be true, um, as fuel to the feminism fire, as justification for that. But it's always for, you know, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, and menopausal women to get attention that they no longer receive from the world.
whose husband was basically renting out her body for about 10 years and drugging her in the process to where she didn't even know what was happening to
Hmm.
her. And then this became like this massive case in France, and 51 men saw some kind of level of prosecution, but it was up to 80 men that had participated in this, and they were doctors, lawyers, grandfathers, fathers, brothers. They were all, pillars of society, and members of society.
Oh, and another thing, I thought you were drugged. I thought you was drugged. So, during your drugged induced grape, you just stopped and said, "So, what do you do for a living?" Oh, I am the chief physician at the Grape Abroad Clinic. I'm a gynecologist. Like, yeah, suspect. Says remind me of Diddy and Cassie. You want to know why it don't remind me of Diddy and Cassie? Because Cassie wasn't 50 freaking years old.
Professional, et cetera, et cetera.
But they was buying pussy. The problem
They
is
were they that was
the.
they were not buying pussy. They were raping.
But wasn't he selling her? I thought he was
He
her
she
husband or
was
something.
she was unconscious. He was
Oh,
drugging
got you, got
her
you, got you, got you, got
and
you, got you.
renting out her body.
Don't you develop immunities to drugs after a certain period of time? Just saying.
Got you, got you,
Yeah,
got you.
that was wild. And so when you hear things about that, when you see the swath of men from all walks of life participating in something like that, when you hear about this group chat of
Somebody said they found out that info at the trial. Yeah, but she said it. She said it before the trial.
like 72,000 men sharing pictures of their wives and girlfriends in an intimate manner and exchanging stories as to how to manipulate women and
Yeah, women never do that. Okay.
drug them and take advantage of them. And I mean,
Listen, there's some men that you that you trust the bear more. What was that shit y'all was arguing about? The bear or the man, whatever. There's some men
If
you
you
trust.
ran
You
into
trust
a
the bear
strange
more.
man or a bear in the woods, who would you choose? 98% of women chose the bear, and men lost their ever loving
I mean,
minds.
because it is a very ridiculous
It's
thing.
do you
But
want
I but I understand why women
the
could feel
because
that
here's
way.
the thing: if the bear kills me, that's fine. At least he didn't grape me. At least he didn't sexual assault me. At
That is the dumbest stuff she could say. You see, never graping anyone. I understand as a person um who has had sex. I can imagine that particular act being very difficult to accomplish when somebody is fighting you tooth and nail through the whole ordeal. To be perfectly honest, sometimes it's difficult when they're cooperative. But I mean, like, I can't even imagine how it go. Like, if you are with someone who is fighting it tooth and nail, and your balls are just there flapping, and all she need to do is like squeeze together her thighs, and you get your balls smashed. Like, I can't just imagine that. I can imagine a scenario where consent is forced, where someone says, with a weapon or just brute strength, saying, you know, I like you and I want you. Like, I could see that. But this whole notion that, you know, you would choose death before grape is completely false, because because I'm assuming that many, if not most, grapes take place where they point that thing to the dome and say, hey, get down and lay down, or get down or stay down. And self-preservation kicks in, and it's like, you know so yeah, miss me with the foolishness of I would rather be mauled to death by a bear and eaten before I eat grapes. You're stupid. Nobody believes no crap like that.
least he didn't like violate my corpse.
But what if that guy is
He did violate your corpse. He turned it into bear poop. He did violate you're stupid. He turned your corpse into bear poo.
running from the bear too? And the guy's trying to, and he's
It's entirely possible, and this is I want men to really truly understand why women have no choice but to be fearful. You have 4 daughters.
absolutely
I need to know what, and one of them, your oldest, is I believe 16, 17,
17.
17.
Come ask you a question. Have you had more positive experiences with men than negative?
That's a good question.
Hmm, that's an interesting question.
Wow, it's like she don't really have regular human intelligence, because she's like an AI download that just takes too long and then comes up with an error. Like, because what it is she has a duty. What she's trying to do is she's trying to paint men as innately bad beings, while at the same time encouraging other men to not be like that. That's the feminist playbook. So she's trying to figure out how can she do this. Like, how can she Because if she just came out and said, no, all men are bad, or the majority of men that I met are bad, then it would be like, okay, then men will just say, okay, well, we're innately bad, and I'm going to embrace that. If she say most men that she met in her life are innately good, then she's going to be like, okay, well, there's really no need to join your cause to address a few bad seeds. Somebody said, of course, she's thinking of a lie. Of course she is. She's a woman. Like, I mean, okay, first of all, they don't really have to think to lie. Let's start there. It just flows naturally to them. So the fact that she's thinking means that,
I have had extraordinarily fulfilling and have fulfilling platonic relationships with men. Absolutely. I
So
have had
so translation. She can't have a healthy relationship with a man that she has SE XXX with. She can't. Now she needs to discover why that is, but it's something about your, menopausal vajayjay that makes relationships unhealthy. You just stated that the only men that you've had healthy relationships with was the ones that didn't hit it. Just saying.
not the greatest um, personal romantic relationships with men.
so based off that, you know that all men aren't terrible human beings.
I do know that. However, I will say this. You
Hmm.
want to know one of the reasons why women watch all that murder, death, kill stuff, all the serial killer stuff? Because we're trying to understand what threat looks like. Because
They watch stuff like that because these types of shows and stuff like that have a very common thing, and that is women are always the victim and men are always the bad guy. And they like to see themselves as that. Make no mistake, she wants to feel like she is a victim of something. And she is. However, she is a victim of a lifetime, or I should say, an adulthood of very poor decisions. That's what she's a victim of.
usually it's presented as somebody who's very, very normal. The BTK killer, Dennis Rader, he was a pillar of community of his community. He was a member of an active member of his church. You know, John Wayne Gacy, same thing. Like the
But
evil.
why they don't ever do the positive stories? Meaning, like, because all of this, I'm not saying it's not true, because it's definitely.
Okay, once again, they don't do the positive stories because it don't make the woman feel like a victim and the men are evil. Like everybody wants to feel like they're the good guy. Except me. I mean, well, okay, so full disclosure or a quick story. When I was a kid, I didn't mind being the villain. When you play fight with other kids, um, all the other kids wanted to be the protagonist. They wanted to be He-Man. They wanted to be G.I. Joe. They wanted to be Superman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't really have a problem being the villain. And that was for a very clear and distinct reason. It's because, from a child's point of view, given the times and the situation, which is not much different now as far as entertainment goes, I was the villain. So I started school a year behind everybody else, meaning that I was younger than all the other kids, meaning that I was smaller. And I also was a very smart kid. And this is actually the archetype of villains in all the comic, or is not comic books, but in all the cartoons. He-Man was physical, he was strong, and he was brutish. Skeletor was smart, he was a wizard, and he always came up with clever ideas. This is true for Cobra Commander. This is true for basically any cartoon series of the time. The hero was strong, Superman, the villain was smart and unable to compete with the hero physically. That's where that whole Mr. Glass, unbreakable dynamic comes from. So me being smart and small, um, I was a natural villain. I was a natural Lex Luthor. Just was what it was, and I had no problem playing my role. I actually felt comfortable in that. Um, so that's just a quick segue. But back to the topic at hand. She also feels comfortable in these archetypes where she can paint herself as the villain, that she did nothing wrong, and that she is a victim of the things that are done to them. Oh, you misunderstand. In order to be a villain, you have to be smart, not just small. And I actually grew into my age. I wasn't really small. I was just young, younger than the boys in my class. But but no, you actually have to be smart to be um, the villain archetype. Why stop timing out, Shites? Don't unless you say something egregious, which you didn't. Don't do that.
True, but propaganda works both ways.
Mhm.
If there was a network that showed us, these great men who did right by women and protected women and held women down, your perspective wouldn't lean so much to men ain't shit. I gotta go with the bear.
No, trust me. I place in my algorithm men that I know are. There's a guy named Will Hitchens online. There is this podcast. It's these four young black boys. I can't remember what the podcast is called right now, but I mean,
Oh, you talking about
it starts with a J.
jamming or something like
This,
that?
yes,
Jam something?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. They're from
I
Chicago, I think.
I love them.
Mhm.
I love them because it's just they take
Are you gonna suck their penis? You see, and this is what fellas through the red pill is slowly starting to realize. And this is why they fear the red pill so much, because we bring truths to this. She's talking about these young boys. I don't know who they are, but it does seem like it's probably just a group of panderers who are trying to, get something out of the deal. And by something, I'm talking about booty, 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 booty. It's going to take them a while before they realize that no matter how many head pats they get, she's not going to fulfill your desires, Melyssa Ford. She's not going to fulfill your elementary school fantasies. She's just not. Oh, they're actual kids? Because when a near 50-year-old woman says kids, I'm thinking like somebody in their late 20s or something like that, which is kids from her perspective. But they're actual kids. Okay. Okay. Wow.
and brosphere and red pillars to task, and their rhetoric is complete is so respectful towards women, and they just have so much common sense for being so young.
So women should reward them, right? They're going to listen. There used to be rewards for guys like that. Um, for guys who got down with the program, who got down with the feminist program. Um, when you look at the past, I'm talking about the hippie era. Free love was the reward for men who got down with the feminist program. Now they don't even get that. Now they don't even get that. They just they get a pat on the head and they don't get to pat their head. Yeah, ha.
So I follow them. I follow Deontay Kyle. I definitely have an algorithm full of men that are, that
Collaborators.
are allies to women. Um, but I will also find myself in the comment section of certain things, and it's just it just it's
Okay, I'm gonna respond to this because I don't even know why you brought this up. Most men like women that exhibit um, bad behavior. Listen, most men like women. See, stop trying to think that there's some type of correlation or there's a behavior involved. Hold on, I'm gonna show you what I mean. I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean. Who should I pick on today? Stormy Maya. Ah, damn it, she got a nose ring. Nah, I'm not gonna pick Stormy Maya today. I'm going to pick. Um, I'm tired of doing Chloe Bailey, so let's say Tyler. How you say it? Is it Tyler or Taylor? Tyla. All right. Yeah, South African singer. That's the one I'm talking about. All right. Zoti. All right. Let's see. So Tyler is an Aquarius, and most men would smash Tyler. By your logic, you can say men love Aquariuses. They want to smash Aquariuses. Like what? That doesn't make any sense. If we want to smash you, it has nothing to do with this persona. And if Tyler was to wear fake lashes and I still want to smash, it doesn't mean that I like fake lashes. See, this is the result of a lifetime of hearing what you want to hear. Of course, I'm not making sense to you.
it's very polarizing, and it pulls you. And especially, I mean, I've had my own experiences of being around a certain type of a certain group of men who have exhibit groupthink,
Hmm.
and that groupthink tends to lean very misogynistically.
Ah,
So it has an effect on you, as somebody who's just kind of like absorbing it, simply just because I'm a woman and I'm the woman in the room, kind of thing. It's just
I listen. Are there fuck boys out here? Yes, but I still believe in the circle of trust of humans, and I believe that the shooting percentage when it comes to the circle of trust of humans is still very, very high, in spite of all the bullshit. And what do I mean by that? We wake up every day,
mhm.
every single one of us, and we trust that we not gonna go crazy. I don't know none of these people in this room,
Mhm.
but one of these motherfuckers could go crazy and fuck up the whole day for everybody. You
Mhm.
could go to freaking Dunkin' Donuts and order a coffee, and it's that one person in the back who might decide, I'm gonna put some fucking,
Arsenic.
fentanyl or arson
Yeah.
in her shit. Or you might get in the car with the Uber driver and that person decides to run off the road. My point is, we don't think about that type of stuff. You
Mhm.
don't go into Dunkin' Donuts and think somebody's gonna put arson into your fucking drink. You don't order the Uber and jump in the car and think this person's gonna run me off the highway. You don't walk in rooms with perfect strangers and be like, okay, who's gonna be the person that shoots this shit up? So
Mhm.
there's a circle of trust that exists amongst humans. And in spite of all of the bullshit, we do pretty good
Mhm.
at making sure that all of us are safe and protected. So
Mhm.
I can't base.
excellent point. When she talks about those crime dramas, the real hero there is the guy that arrests these deviants and these one-offs. And the reason why society works is because it's made up of more guys that arrest these guys than it actually are these guys.
Everything off, you know, just the bullshit. Now,
Yeah.
do I, raise my daughters with that mentality? Yes, but I also let them know to be aware.
Mhm.
Just like right now, I'm aware. I wouldn't walk in here with my own shooter if
Mhm.
I wasn't aware. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the mentality you have to have. It's the reason we have life insurance. Like,
Mhm.
you have to be prepared. You don't want these things to happen, and you're not even expecting these things to happen. You're just, I guess, prepared if they do. But
Hmm.
imagine if we had to wake up every day and just not trust anybody.
I mean, that would be really isolating. But I mean, just
Okay, we're getting to the point where I stop listening.
But you're kind of doing that with the men.
no, 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 no. Hold
You started it off by saying, fuck niggas,
on.
get money. That's basically what you said. You was like, I don't want to be with nobody.
No, it's not that. I'll be completely
Listen, old women benefit greatly from the gender war. That's why yesterday's video, consisted of a old man with a old woman who he would probably rather not be with, but he's too old to fight in a gender war, so he's just like, okay, I'm going to find whatever little happiness I can in the remaining 4 days of my life. At the like button.
honest. It has nothing to do with me not wanting to be with anybody right now with this particular stage in my life because of this massive career transition and spiritual transition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having what I now understand as a spiritual awakening, and it has been so powerful that I don't I don't think anybody needs to be there for at this moment.
Got you,
I
got
need
you,
to be
got you,
here
got you.
with myself
Got you.
and integrating everything that I've learned, in a very short amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
especially at the retreat that I went to in Mexico. I'm at a point in my life where I'm so much new information is being downloaded from source. I don't have any
It's funny. As you all talk about echo chambers and groupthink, she's talking about how her brain was just downloaded into, which is the very essence of groupthink. Kind of like, half the people have Windows, half the people have um, Macs, but it's all downloaded. It's all the same. Hmm. Okay. So she, as a woman, got her information downloaded directly into her brain from a single source. Okay.
anything to give to anybody right now because
Oh, I
I'm still
understand that.
receiving.
I understand
And
it.
that's literally it. Like I have hope or a belief that there's the imperfectly perfect one out there for me. The source knows. I don't. I trust that they've got my best interests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think that I put a whole lot of um, importance on that. And I'll tell you why. I think that after a certain age,
Here we go.
read perimenopause.
Here we go. Here we go. So she admits that her current outlook on the universe is due to her winding down vagina. Because make no mistake, perimenopause is the going out of business of a woman's reproductive system. That's what it is, which is a very difficult process. But you are being shut down. Your reproductive system is being shut down and being replaced with random pissings. And it's your fault that I noticed. I didn't notice until recently. Now they got some white broads that sell poise pads talking about, um the coughing fit panty blitz. I'm like, wait, what? So I tried to extrapolate what that nonsense meant, and apparently it means that women cough and pee at the same time randomly when they get so old. So yeah, it is a very disgusting process.
women start to really take stock of their life. And I think also in this decade of life, the 40s, you really start to think about the meaning of life and also how meaningful your life is.
Um, Women in their 40s with like kids and grandkids aren't thinking that because they have the meaning of life right there, bouncing on their knee. What you're doing is you want to think about what the meaning of your life is, because what life meant to you when you were younger is no longer a viable option anymore. You know that you can't go back. You know that you can't be, a 20-year-old booty shaker anymore. You know that. So you're like, okay, and you know now that you can't be like, a cookie baking grandmother either. You know that too. So now you're trying to figure out, well, what can I be? Oh, I can be a feminist. And here we are.
Mhm.
um, and changes that you want to make, because also you're thinking about legacy. And you
And and that's what you're thinking about legacy. See, they're in a mode of desperation. And they're at a stage in their life to where, okay, I can't leave my legacy. Kind of like Martin Luther King's legacy was Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't need to make a mark on the world. I mean, his son did, but he didn't necessarily need to make that mark on the world. Um, People who have a kid or children, are less prone to that. And then men, when we want to make a legacy, we are concerned about what legacy we leave, not just, oh, this is a legacy. For example, do like, oh, I want to leave a legacy. I want to be known as the person that caused the most global warming. I want my legacy to be that guy that dumped the most oil into the ocean. So it's not really a legacy, it's a positive legacy. She don't really care. She just wants to make any mark on her. She wants to be remembered because quite frankly, I didn't know her before this. I mean, I might have seen her in the 90s and say, "Ooh, nice ass." And then just moved on to the next nice ass. But it's, she's not, there is no net legacy. You're right. So she has feminism so she can say, "Hey, I'm the person that added an additional pronoun," or some stupid crap like that that they do. That's why things are called the wrong thing. That's how Chinamen became Asian. But even if they're from China, it's wrong. That's how stupid crap like that happens. That's how we get pronouns. That's how we get words like Afro American, which is way more syllables than black. That's how we get all this stupid crap. That's how we get men in panties in a woman's prison and babies to follow. That's how we get all this stupidity. It's because of a moron trying to leave a legacy.
and just what impact or what what mark you want to leave on people, the world, whatever the case is. But I think what also happens to women at this point in time, because we are conditioned to be such people pleasers, and conditioned.
Okay, modern women are not conditioned to be people pleasers. Now, to give you a not stupid perspective, everybody is conditioned to be people pleasers. like when a boy, me, I was in the Boy Scouts. Hey, help the lady across the street, help her with her groceries, open the door for them, respect your elders, respect your parents, respect your teachers. Don't hit your sister. Don't hit somebody smaller than you. Don't hit somebody who is mentally incapable or just genuinely incapable to defend themselves, or physically incapable to defend themselves. Protect the weak. Protect the environment. Like, so eh, women are not the only ones. In fact, it's arguable that women are less conditioned to be people pleasers. I mean, are little girls taught not to hit boys? Are they?
To center men. Everything else about our lives is accessory.
Hmm.
The goal is to get a man, get claimed by a man.
And you failed. That is the goal. And you fail. And there you have it. And now she's trying to project this failure or herald this failure as a success. Like, oh yes, well, I failed, even though God has gifted me with all the tools for success. Being an attractive woman is like being born rich. It's the female equivalent to being born rich. You have all the tools to complete this task and you failed. That is like being there's I don't know his name, but there is a guy who is 7'11". Let me look up his name because now I'm curious. All right, 7'11". Oh, okay. So he did make the basketball team, or is he? Is he a Is he in the NBA or is this like a college team? I don't know. He looked young. This dude's a freak. Fucking huge ass human being. When you're the tallest player ever, but the NBA don't care. Okay, so he is in the NBA. If he wasn't in the NBA, he would have failed. He would have like taken his gift and not used it to the fullest of its ability. I'm not talented in that regard, but if I was 7'11", then I would still be in the NBA with my uncoordinated nerdy ass. So she had one job to do and given all the tools to do it, and she still didn't. And now she's trying to encourage others not to. Because the more people that fail with you, the more your failure seems like success. That is the crux of misery deserves company or misery loves company. Excuse me. It deserves it too. Well, no, it don't. My bad.
By the time you hit this decade of life, women start looking around and be like, what did that
But
get
you,
me?
but you
And
know,
not to say that there's not women who are like in very happy relationships.
Somebody said as soon as a MF put on glasses, they think that they're intellectual. Well, she do have on glasses. So yeah, maybe, she started to need glasses at the same time she started to piss herself randomly or every time she coughs. So yeah, and that's when she thought she was an academic or intellectual.
Relationships and happy marriages and stuff like that. I'm pushing that aside. Let's just say that you're in my particular situation, or let's just say that you've been on a long-term marriage and haven't been happy for a really, really long
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
and you think that the best
Okay, this is a woman's way of saying that marriage isn't all it's cracked up to be to cope with the fact that she never did it.
thing would be to split apart. Women are in this decade, we start to really kind of analyze what does life look like when we decenter men. And I want men to understand that that does not mean that we don't love you or want to have you in our lives, but it's just this it's radical self-acceptance.
Hmm.
And the world and society teaches women to never accept yourself, that there's always room for
Somebody says something. Men don't age. We're not talking about age. We're talking about fertility. And I don't know if men start cough pissing, but I could tell you as a man in my 40s, I haven't cough pissed, nor have I had a hot flash or gone through hormonal changes, nor do I squirt blood out my dick randomly. So, yes, we age, and yes, I got a few grays, but guess what? A few grays is a lot better than cough pissing.
improvement. That's why the self-help section of bookstores are mainly geared towards us. For you guys, it's get rich, get fit
Hmm.
for the most part. Um, but for us, it's like you're imperfect, change everything.
You know, what's so crazy. I know so many men that are in their 40s right now who sound just like that. Like literally, like they
Like what?
want to be, they want a wife,
Mm-hmm.
like they want to
True.
have kids, like they're looking at, somebody like myself or somebody like Andrew, and they're like, damn. And I shouldn't even have said that because it's like, what I'm saying, it's like friends of ours that are
Yeah.
like, they want
I
to
don't know
get
who Andrew
married, they
is. I
want
don't
to have
care.
kids, they want to have the family. And I know a lot of guys that are like that in this moment. So I think that society would be a better place
Old men give you worms. Yeah, old men give you a big fat worm.
if men would express that.
I
You know
think
what I'm
so
saying? If
too.
men would talk about how, man, I don't want to be 45 years old, 46, 47 years old and not have a woman and not have a family. Like I want that. I think if men would have that conversation, men and women would stop missing each other. Cuz I trust me, I'm am I judgmental? Yeah, I'm the judgmental person that looks at a man and be like, "Why you ain't got no kids, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Why you ain't married at 40 something years old? Like why, you know what I'm saying? You 50 something in."
But
And then
are you okay with the fact that some people just they're just this isn't that it's not that lifetime for that for marriage and kids?
yeah, I'm
How many lifetimes do a person get? They won't get many more. I mean, if you stop having kids,
fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I'm the judgmental church lady. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, like, why is that person, why?
Do you think that there's different reasons as to why a woman wouldn't end up married with children and a man not ending up married with children?
A lot of women make the choice, because, and I can't speak for women. I'm just telling you from what I've heard. A lot of women make the choice because they choose their careers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of women have been scorned, right? They've
hmm
been with a guy and they thought that this guy was the one, and they thought
and a lot of women listen to old piss bitches like yourself.
that they were gonna get married, and it didn't work out, and so now it's just like fuck men for life,
True.
right? And then some are
He
just
just
like,
described
I
her.
never wanted to. I've heard like that's something I've been hearing Maya say, and I got a couple other women in my life. They're like, I never wanted to get married. I
Yes,
never
they did.
wanted kids.
You know how much courage it takes a woman to actually admit that out loud?
Hmm.
Society judges the shit out of us for that.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And it doesn't take courage to admit that. What you're doing is you're lying and you're hiding your failure. Maya talks about, I'll never forget. This is when I had like an extraordinary case of envy, extraordinary case of envy. And it was when I was reading in a magazine, and she was on the cover. Maya was on the cover. And I was thinking to myself, like, damn, I never known Maya to have such a fat ass. I never knew that a little light skinned chick with no titties had such a fat ass. I didn't know that. So I started reading it, and she was just like giving her life manifesto at the time. And she talked about an incident where she flew in. I think she's from like DC or something, because I seen her live at Howard Homecoming. So I think that she's from that area. So she flew in from DC to LA, and she was telling the story about how she wanted to surprise, quote unquote, her dude on Valentine's Day. But when she got there, she found out that he was already enthralled with a more famous, musician. Like, she goes to his house just to find out he's with Alicia Keys or some crap like that. And I'm thinking like, and this is where the envy came in. I was thinking like, wow, that's a lucky dude. That's a lucky dude. Just having Maya in the hallway waiting in lingerie while you smashing, a hotter fantasy. So, so my point of saying that is, let's not pretend like you never wanted the same thing that all women wanted. Because if whoever that was, and she didn't say his name, but if whoever that was to give you the opportunity, you would take it. If Jay-Z proposed to you and not Beyonce, you would have said yes. But all this, I didn't want it anyway. You know what y'all sound like? Y'all sound like those dudes that get shot down and say, "You ugly anyway." Come on now. No, she's not. No, she's not. She's, like, that doesn't help the situation. You just put yourself in a bad light with that.
But I going back to men and their wants and their desires and their lack of ability to articulate that. I was having a conversation. I did a panel with Two Chains because he has a movie that is based on his life. It's called Red Clay, a short film.
I'm publishing this book next year too.
Of
His book
course.
is called "The Voice in My Head Is God."
Yes,
Yeah,
no, he told me.
comes out next year.
He
Yeah.
told me. He told me. He told me. And he's just such a great guy. So in the film, there's a really poignant, pivotal moment towards the end of the film where the protagonist and one of the other guys, who's his best friend, they share a moment of intimacy where they're hugging, and it's because one of them has just lost his mom, and it's
Hmm.
it's 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 very tragic. But I was struck by the intimacy of that moment and the expression of intimacy. And I said to the crowd that the first act of violence that the patriarchy commits is not against women, it's against young boys, because it forces them to carve out parts of their humanity,
Hmm.
because it's seen as um,
Why do I mean, I know the answer to this question, but feminists, they always get this, like, I want to turn men into bitches. This stems from their way of dominating and control. It's very difficult to control a masculine man. That's why they call it toxic and try to feminize him. So basically, you're saying, like, through his whole film or whatnot, like, ooh, they're hugging. They're just like me. I hug too. So you'll feel less lonely. Is that it? Because masculine men don't want to randomly get pissed on no matter how hot you are. Masculine men don't want to, have to use like a whole jar of lube just to fuck you. They in the vagina. Like they don't want that. And the problem with lube is that chicks don't like it when they take it out one hole and put it in the other, um, because they got to taste the lube. So yeah, but that's a whole nother thing.
Feminine. And it's almost like masculinity is not defined by what it means to be a man. It's almost like it's defined by what it means to not be a woman. All of the things
Mm.
that can be seen as feminine
That is the definition of a man. Ah, Jesus. Yes, masculinity is the opposite of femininity. That's like saying, they're not trying to fly, they're trying to not be on the ground. Shut the fuck up. They're not trying to go to outer space, they're trying to not be on Earth. That's what the fuck that means. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and bras like this try to trick you into imitating them.
are villainized. So you can't acknowledge those parts of yourself. When any indigenous person will tell you that the divine is masculine and feminine and
Yeah,
acceptance of both, those are the healthiest people that
those are the ingredients that
I accept feminine on my penis. What the fuck is wrong with you? Doesn't mean you have to be both.
make us. It's a man
exactly
and a woman.
exactly so I feel like that's part of the problem that men experience later on in life is just they have this innate almost like primal desire
Mm.
to want to acknowledge the feminine parts of themselves that they tried to kill off so long ago.
Holy shit. So basically, she's saying that men have a deep desire to be a bitch. Listen, we rule the fucking world. If we wanted to be bitches, we'd be bitches. We don't have to, like, what the fuck? Gosh, this is so fucking annoying. This is like deep down, you want to be us. Yeah, okay. That sounds like some crap that black women tell white women. And white women just look at them with, piercing, icy blue eyes and long, flowing blonde hair. Like, yeah, okay. Sure, I want to be you. So are you going to give me my burger and fries, or am I going to have to stroke your ego some more? Like, come on now. That's like that's like when Diddy was like, more money, more problems. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Deep down, you really want to be broke. Yeah, right. Try fucking Cassie broke. Try waiting for baby oil to go on sale because you broke. The hell up.
Because society said they had to, but and they also understand in order like if they could connect to those parts they'd probably have an easier time truly connecting with women.
Maybe we shouldn't label those parts. Maybe we shouldn't label a
I
hug.
agree with that.
And this is when they offer like the this is where they give like the fake offer of pussy. This is where they do that. This get in touch with your feminine side and maybe you'll get some piss pussy. This is where they do that. And there was a time when guys actually got it. I talked about the hippie era. Guys actually got it when they got in touch with their feminine side and grew their hair out to, down to their ass and shit. Like there was actually free love involved. Like maybe if you get, in touch with your feminine and name your children Moonbeam and Starlight, you know, then and it's like, okay, yeah, they actually paid. Now they're like, hey, I'm not saying that I'm gonna suck your dick if you get in touch with your feminine side, but maybe you'll get your dick sucked if you get in touch with your feminine side. Fuck you. Fuck you and your Sierra pussy. Okay? Or excuse me, Sahara pussy. Fuck you and your desert box.
We shouldn't label a hug as feminine. You know what I mean? Because I done seen people die, and somebody get the news that the person dies, and if you whoever's close to you in that moment, that's who arms you gonna
Hmm.
fall into. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So I think maybe we should stop labeling things like that.
Yeah. Well, it goes
Feminine.
back to the whole, accusation of being
Where's Jaden Smith's bitch? Where's Jaden Smith? Because he said I seen something that was like, God, Will Smith, everything that spawns out of fucking Ventress, or excuse me, Jada Pickett's pussy is just weird as fuck. So he opened up a restaurant because this is what she claims that all the bitches are trying to get men to become, right? And the reason why I say it's Jada Pickett's pussy and not Will Smith's dick because he has a normal kid from his first marriage that's not weird as fuck. And you can't tell which one is the boy and which one is the girl between Jaden and Willow. It's fucking anyway. So he says the I Love You restaurant is a nonprofit initiative by Jaden Family Foundation that provides healthy vegan meals um, to people experiencing food insecurity, particularly the homeless. The homeless vegans? The fucking homeless vegans. This is the shit that they turn men into. This is the shit that they turn men into. I'm going to make a vegan restaurant for homeless. They are fucking homeless. When they hold a sign up that say we'll work for food, they're not going to fucking buy a vegan meal. Damn it. What in the fuck is wrong with this generation? Fucking pronoun weirdos, all of them.
homosexual from Dame, you know, and me talking about what intimacy is. That intimacy, they didn't slob each other down. They hugged each
Yeah,
other,
yeah, yeah.
and it was they.
Slobbing each other down would definitely be gay. But if you did that publicly, clearly you don't care.
Exactly, yeah. But the whole point is what I've realized is that through this lack of being able to connect to those parts, whatever you want to call them, we'll call them, just for the sake of argument right now, the feminine.
Okay, now she's talking like some Lucky Charm shit. I'm gonna move to the chat room for a second because somebody said something. Red pill dusties are very scorned. Okay, they're doing 5 to 7 hour lives crying about over black women. What a waste. All right, let's address this. I thought that you wanted us to get in touch with our feminine side. I thought that you just wanted a man that cries and talk about how life has scorned him. Bitch! You see the problem with you. This is me preparing men for the full of shitness that is you and your vagina. This is that. This is us saying that I read through your bullshit. So if what you say is true, then it completely contradicts what she just said, where we want you to embrace your soft side and address what scorns you. Now you're like, ha ha ha, niggas is scoring, they're dusty, and they're crying for 5 hours. Shut the fuck up. The only probation officer I have is my uncle who works in corrections. I don't have a probation officer because I've never been to prison. The closest thing I've been to the closest thing I've been to that was like prison was my college dorm. It was very small and it did not have all the amenities. Get it? Got it? Good. Okay, moving on.
Then parts of yourself, you rob yourself of understanding what intimacy actually is. What I have
Absolutely.
experienced a lot in my life, and I know that a lot of women have experienced this, is men trying to create a false sense of intimacy. The only problem with that is that women are very, very, very good at understanding what intimacy is because we are intimate with each other.
Oh my God, it's so much bitch babble. I know Charlemagne is like, what the fuck?
We understand that intimacy is literally like, yo, this ponytail is killing me. I sit down in front of my girl, she takes my ponytail out of my head.
I want you to get in touch with soap and water. I do. It's in my shampoo that I use daily. How often do you take your wig off to wash your hair? Oh, oh, oh. Wasn't supposed to say that. Wasn't supposed to say that. How often do you wash your damn hair? Do 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 do. You see, as I go through this Jeopardy song, I probably counted about 6 or 7 thousand white women who are washing their damn natural hair right now. Says Melissa, you are just good with your clothes off. Shut your feminist mouth. Well, she's not even that good with her clothes off now. I mean, like, yeah, it may look good on the outside, but I got a feeling that once that bra go off, she look like she got 3 belly buttons and shit. So she's not even good with them on, or excuse me, like she's not even good with them off. She's definitely not as good with them off as she once was. I want you to get in touch with the STD clinic. I did, which is why I'm cured now. Thanks for the suggestion. I recommend everybody do it.
And then starts to massage my head. And it doesn't mean anything other than that's my friend showing me comfort in an intimate manner. And it's permissible because we're women. And it makes me think,
Mm.
I've thought long and hard. That actually happened like several months ago with one of my girlfriends. And it made me think and feel so sad for men because society has conditioned you guys to feel like you cannot show any level of intimacy to another human being, whether it be a woman, whether it be a man, whether it be somebody who identifies as non-binary, the gender spectrum, it doesn't matter. But it's just like that's why there's so a lot of times intimacy is like manufactured because they men don't really kind of
I,
understand
I
what it actually
I
means.
don't think we should use the word intimacy.
I love the word
I think no, I no,
intimacy.
I think intimacy is for men, and women are people who are in a romantic relationship.
No.
I think that connection is what we should be striving for. And I tell you what, like going to the barber is a connection, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
and your barber's cutting your hair. You know, if your barber's doing a great job, he's putting a hot towel on you. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, like some barbers will.
Somebody asking if I can move past this point. I want to, because this is just babble and her talking about trying to sell femininity to men. So she can convince men to be lesser versions of her, and she won't be so alone in her, weakened vagina and hot flashes and shit like that. And this is him just trying to make an interesting show out of it.
Take the this is gonna sound crazy. Takes a little vibrating thing and rubs it on your face, like you know what I mean. Like that's a level of connection. And then you and the barber are talking. You and the barber might have like real intimate conversation. When guys get together and play video games, when they sitting in their house with them headsets on, and it's
I do remember those days fondly. I was talking to Bernard about this. The way my brain is wired, I um I can't have I can't play video games without having to destroy my life. Some people are like that. Some people, on one hand, you have people that can just drink and drink and drink, and that's just how they live their life. On the other hand, you have people that take one drop of Hennessy, and next thing you know, they're alcoholics, and their whole life is ruined. Same with some drugs and stuff. Some people can use that candy cane recreationally, and others it ruins their life, and they're given BJ's on the street for $2 to get a hit. So it just depends. I realize in my early 20s that video games is too addictive for me. However, I do remember in my early 20s there is a bonding factor. You're with the homies, you're playing the game and stuff like that, and there is a there. I agree.
just them two. That's why Black Mirror was able to make a whole freaking episode called
Striking
Striking Viper.
vipers.
That led to gay, but I'm just saying it didn't have to lead to gay. It could have just been those two sharing that connectivity.
Oh, that shit was weird. I put that episode out my brain. Anthony Mackie, he went out on that. That's some nasty shit. Black Mirror is hit or miss. That was definitely a miss. I'm like, wait, them niggas kissing. That was some weird shit. And notice how the women didn't say, "Oh, he's in touch with his feminine side." Nah, they just called him all kinds of down low and shit.
Amongst each other. Yo, something like getting in a cipher and passing a blunt back and forth. That's a level of connectivity
Hmm.
that men
Never
have
did that, but I'm
with
sure that
each
that's.
other.
I'm
Working
sure
out. Like, you know what I'm saying? You and your
I've done
homeboy
that.
working out,
Yes.
and that's your partner, and you pushing them, to do the best they can in the gym. I think the word
I mean, what he's saying is, without saying it, is that it's functional when men get together. There has to be some type of function and activity going on. They're not getting together just to be together. It's like, okay, I'm together, but I'm getting my haircut. We're together, but we're playing a video game. We're together, but maybe smoking a blunt isn't the best thing, but we're getting together to fight this war. Like there has to be a function, a separate task to be completed that requires more than one. And I definitely agree with that type of bond, which is far different from the feminine bond, which they get together to talk about who's fucking who and who's getting fat. All of you and each of you. All right.
we're looking for is connection, connectivity. I don't think men don't have to be intimate with each other. Like
I'm
intimate,
learning.
yeah, intimate is to me is when you're in a romantic relationship with someone.
Oh my gosh. Zero, exactly. They're obsessed with black woman and what we do or don't do. Yes, it's exactly. I mean, anybody should be obsessed with anything that is an impediment to their goal, and black women is an impediment to the collective goal of black men. I mean, that's like asking the people with the little hats, why are they obsessed with the people with the red crooked cross? That's a very weird thing to say. That's like asking somebody in the Ukraine, "Hey, why are you so obsessed with Russians? What the hell?"
Somebody.
But I
Like,
think that that's the thing. I mean, I think that when it comes to words matter, and our our vocabulary has expanded so much just to in so many different facets of conversation. But I think that there needs to be like an expansion of understanding about that word intimacy in order for
Oh my gosh. Men are literally walking anger and chaos, and women are literally walking headaches and hormones.
I don't know, for radical change to happen between
Y'all want us. I don't deny that. If we didn't, your ass would be extinct. It would be a useless race of obnoxious bitches, and it would be extinct. But no, we need to repopulate the world, and y'all not doing that. Y'all just walk around with empty wombs and vaginas until you're her age, and then bitch at us for the shitty decisions that y'all made.
men and their own sense of radical self-acceptance, improvement within their group structures, and
Oh
also
my
their
god, so much bitch
relationships with
babble.
women. When I
our men should be able to admit that we need human connection from other men. Like there's
Yes.
that we men say we got our man caves, and you and your boys get together to watch a football game, and drink.
Oh my gosh. So here we come with the they're gay argument. That's all y'all got. That's all y'all got. And you want to know why y'all like that? Because quite frankly, the men that will fuck you is that. Remember the movie Waiting to Exhale? And Loretta Devine, of all people, found out that her husband was gay. And I'm thinking, like, yes, that makes sense. Because he's with you. He's with the woman who is shaped like a fat man boob being with no fucking hair. Of course, like, you are a honeypot for closeted homosexuals. You have more masculine trait than feminine ones. So, yes, you are shaped like Homer Simpson, and you have his haircut. So, if you have to fuck a woman, then you're going to pick the one that looked the most like a nigga, and that's you. Like, what in the fuck? Jesus. And that goes to you, Zero. That goes to you. If you find yourself with a bunch of rainbow niggas, it's because you look more like a nigga than a dude.
That's human connection. I mean,
Yeah.
those are, I hate that word when you dealing, but I guess intimate. That is an intimate experience, right? Like if you
Yeah.
bring somebody into your man cave,
Yeah.
and it's just you and the guy, and y'all sitting around watching the game, and y'all sharing conversations, and y'all feel good because when you leave, you're like, man, I'm glad I was able to tell my homeboy that, and I'm glad I was able to share that with my homeboy. That is a level of intimacy. I just think that
Mm.
word intimacy, you think
Who's saying that black men rule the world? That's a very weird thing to say.
about it and you think about romantic relationships, like I'm not going around saying, yeah, man, me and my homeboy had an intimate drive the other day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we shared an intimate moment while driving. Like we're not that's not how we're talking, but I will say
Mhm.
we had a connection. Like I
Mhm.
like connecting with my homies.
Yeah.
I think that's the word we
We have to go along with the black man fantasy of being leaders. You could go along with the black man fantasy of fucking making me a sandwich in your lingerie, but you don't do that. So fuck you. Like, what the hell?
we looking for.
One of the things that one of the things I thought to myself about, men and a lack of ability to feel like empathy, um, or like innately feel it, like it being like an automatic reaction to something,
Hmm.
is because a lot of men did not grow up as boys reading fictional books. And I'm not talking about like sci-fi or anything like
Hmm.
that, or like, whatever, comic books, or maybe even anime. Don't I shouldn't be prejudiced because I didn't read that stuff. But what fictional books teach us is, there's a protagonist, and it teaches us to put ourselves in other people's shoes, walk, um,
Wow, it's funny that we were talking about delusion, and here she is putting herself in other people's shoes. Okay.
through their lives, experience what they're experiencing, even though it's something maybe completely different from what we experience in our own daily lives. And through that, we kind of develop a sense of empathy. Would you say that that's a thing or no?
Yeah, I don't think it's not a thing. I mean, one of the greatest things my mom told me, because she was an English teacher, so she
Mm-hmm.
used to always tell me to read things that didn't pertain to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that curiosity that she instilled in me, that caused me to just pick up so much different literature that had nothing to do with me, right? That's what led me to read so much Judy Blume and so much Beverly Clearly, because
Mm-hmm.
these stories were about these little white girls and these little white boys. We weren't that, so I would read about these people. But that level of curiosity transcended from literature to just people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you have conversations, right? Like if I have a conversation with you, like instead of just, and I'm going back to the bear example. If I'm on social media and if I'm looking at these women and they're having a conversation about feeling safer around bears, all right, I need to see what the fuck's going on. Like I need to have a conversation with
No, you don't. It's just bitch babble.
a woman I know. I don't want to talk to a bot in the comments. If I
Mm-hmm.
see a woman I know in these comments and they say they feel safe around a bear, I want to have a conversation with that individual, because then maybe I'll get a better understanding
Mm-hmm.
of why women feel this way. And I think that's something that we don't do. We stay in our bubbles, we stay in our communities, and we don't have conversations with people about things that don't necessarily pertain to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we did, we'd have more empathy.
Ah, okay. Let me read what I put on the screen here. Oh crap! It did that shit again. Oh, okay. I'm gonna check that out later. All right. It says the only power black men have is to try to subjugate, is trying to subjugate black women, and they can't do that. Well, the thing about that is, that is the first step in building power for any nation. If you look up the history of Rome, check out, a township, a Italian township called Sees, and you'll see that that is exactly how um, empires are built, by men that have control over their women. Now, because through the history of humanity, especially beginning with Eve, we have had to deal with a bunch of unruly bitches, we never were able to get much done. So, fellas, find more cooperative women, because you can't build shit with these hoes. All right, let's see here. Exactly why black women have bossed up on them. Okay, we are moving. It's called white women and passport bros. All right, let's see. Black man leadership will lead women to single motherhood and poverty. Well, actually, that's black women leadership. She wanted to be the leader of a household, so she kicked any contenders out. All right, let's. I could do this all day. Grown man complaining was never attractive. Nothing is attractive. You have an empty pussy. It's not like you're fucking a non-complainer right now. So I don't give a shit. And nobody here does. All right. Let's I can do this all day. What's good, Dominic D? What's good? Let's see. Acting like men don't have empathy. That's empathy. That's cap. Yeah, it is. Okay, I don't know what that's in reference to, so I'm going to ignore it. Let's see. Y'all know they say once you go black, become a single mom. Yeah, yeah. All right. Oh, by the way, once you go back, become a single mom and a president's mom. Shout out to Barack Obama's mama. All right. Anyway, ever notice how when a black woman raised a black boy, he goes to prison, and when a white woman raised a black boy, he becomes president? Ever notice that shit? Are we learning? All right. Let's see. Panda Man says exactly. Black bitches are not worth it. Um, Neither were their mammies. Okay. Actually, we're going to unpack that. We're going to unpack that whole Barack Obama statement that I just made. Because this comes up on my feed and I'm like, wow, what a lucky kid. Do, 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 do. All right. Um, Here, let me go here. Hit the like button. Oh, Danica Maria's live. Cool. Cool. All right. Let's see. Okay. Fortunately, I remembered the name of this, so it'll be easy to find. All right. All right. About to share screens in a second. Give me a moment. All right. Huh. Let's see what happens when white parents decide to
What
raise little
question you
black
asking, Jennifer?
boys.
Why'd you put that red one to the side? You knew the clue? How you gonna pop it? What are you gonna do? Hit it with it. Ah, what's in it?
For your birthday, you get a new kitchen. Woo!
Oh.
Grab some popcorn, warm and sweet. Find your clue where movies and munchies.
All right, we're following you.
All right, lace up tight. Don't slip or blink. Your boot with a blade on your not so cold rink.
A roller skating rink.
Your boot with a blade on your not so cold
Ooh.
where most watch TV, but dad rests his head. The next clue is in daddy's bed. Daddy's sleep at night. Yeah, let's
What
go
the
look there.
heck?
Why is there a Reese's wrapper on the couch?
Oh.
Locked and loaded, ready for fun. Your next clues.
Okay, so he is probably like the child of a Cynthia G listener. So his mama didn't want him because he was born male. because black women are stupid like that. And they gave him to this family who have become rich off of making videos like this. Yeah, they're able to do spectacular things with little black boys, like Mike Tyson. Just saying. But y'all just can't because you're nasty vagina people. Just saying. Oh, and he reads at grade level too. All right, moving on. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. So they adopted him because they have fertility issues. Um, they raised him and they just gave him $200 for his birthday. Where if he was with his black mom, she would have given him a niggas ain't shit speech on his birthday. And one of those cakes that's not cake, but it comes in the pound cake thing, and you open it up and it's ready and you just slice it. She would have gave him that and a niggas ain't shit and your daddy ain't shit speech because she's a black woman. All right. Oh, and they finally did have a daughter, so he has a younger sister. Um, nor their dumbass daughters. Don't know the context of that. GC is an admitted thought. I'm not a thought. Why he talking about relationships? I'm not a thought. I'm not a hoe. I don't sell penis. I give it away to qualified beautiful women for free. I'm not going to lie, this is entertaining as fuck. I'm an entertaining person. I'm a very entertaining human being. Passport Bros, aka Conquered Bandits. You know something? I'm wondering who said that to Christopher Columbus. Who said that to Marco Polo? Who said that to Magellan? Who said that to the pioneers that traveled the world and fucked bitches? Who said that to them? Oh, nobody, because it wasn't any black bitches around. All right, moving forward. She talks in generalities too much. They all do. So they're not accountable for any words that they say definitively. Um, not bandits. Okay. I don't see the humor, but okay. B ha 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 ha. Black bitches can't even birth black presidents. Well, I mean, I would say that they came close last year, but we all know. We all know. We all know. All right. Anyway, let's see. Never notice. I don't want to birth a son. Well, just birth it and then give it to white people to actually be raised into a decent human being. You know, um, yeah, because it seemed like the only thing that suckles at your teats is pieces of shit. All right, let's see. Me either. I can't imagine raising a male child. Don't raise it. For Christ's sake, don't. I don't want to imagine the child that you'd raise. I mean, we have enough prison bitches in the world. So, yeah, around these degenerate bastards. Okay. We're actually not obligated to birth males at all. You're not obligated to do shit, and you don't. All right, let's see. Is that okay? Here we are. This is them co-signing and their sisterhood slow motion hug. Birth rates are down in the black community. Thank God. Yeah, exactly. Except the black community includes the entire world where it's fucking up. Actually, black birth rates are down in the African American community because we have the most ratchet bitches. So, if you won't do the job, we'll find those who will. According to the CDC, most criminals are raised by fatherless homes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Which means that the only person left behind to raise them is fat, ugly bitches. So there you have it. I mean, they're not raised by the father. If they're fatherless, now are they? Use your brain. You insulted yourself. Use your brain. And I don't know what you need to do to help you use your brain. Do you have to take your bra off and put it on your head? Like, what in the fuck? Because you use your tits. Use your fucking brain. Jesus. Nobody in America reads as I'm reading your comment. Okay. Or exercises. Okay. Um, White men didn't miss. Meanwhile, black men crying about weaves and wigs. Yeah, well, they don't have to cry about that because their women actually have hair. All right. Let's move forward. That's not right. 12% of black boys read at grade level. Oh, that's pretty bad. Okay. Um, we're the most educated. We read. Okay. Let's see. Let's just ask Google. Asian America has the highest overall educational attainment by race and ethnicity, particularly achieving bachelor's degree and higher amongst gender and racial ethnic groups. Asian women and men have the highest rates of bachelor's degrees and advanced degrees within specific groups. Okay, so within groups, which means that they're in constant competition with their men and their men only. So, black men, if you want an educated woman, you need to get with an Asian man, or excuse me, an Asian woman. Oh, wow. Okay. Stats don't lie. The average American don't read a book every year. Oh, okay. Black, white, orange. Nobody in this hellscape reads. I get you. All right. Let's see. Y'all can't read or keep a job. Okay. Don't come crying to us if one day they decide to fire 300,000 of you. Oh, wait a minute. Let me move on. All right. Let's see. White. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna just move past that. All right. Let's see. Yeah. They're obsessed with hair and makeup. No, we're not. That's why we don't wear it. But you know who do wear it? You do. Most black men can do hair. The ones I know that can do hair actually have daughters because they're loving fathers. Let it, bruh. We're here for you. Okay. Yes, like many women, too nice. Since I'm attracted to women. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Where's everyone from? Jersey here. Oh, you said that out loud. Okay. Born in Virginia, raised in BK. Now, what's BK? I don't know all 50 states, but I don't think we have one, a BK. There's a dusty bandit with a microscope, talking about black women's hair. Meanwhile, other races of men are building nations. Yeah, once again, if their women were fat, obnoxious, hairless bitches, they would be dealing with that. But since they don't have that problem, they can move on. Remedy us of that problem and we would move on. Just saying. DC/PG got the finest black women in the country. Nope. Miami. But that's if you classify Afro Latinas as black. I used to believe in LA face and Oakley booty, but then I went to Miami. And yeah, I've been to PG County. I've been there uh for Howard Homecoming. Asian women only want black men with money, so that excludes 99%. Sorry, fellas. Okay, well, that includes 1%. Now, it don't actually have to be an Asian American woman, now does it? Oh, oh, oh. Yeah. Okay, I believe you. Let's see. LOL, I can do hair. I used to have dreads and cornrows, so I taught myself. Oh, there you go. If you had cornrows, it means that your hair is longer than the typical black woman. Loving fathers, black men. Yeah, exactly. How many women can black men fire? Um, all of them if you keep voting for people like Trump. Oh, all right. Let's see. Arguments here. Miami is one of my fave. Yep, I can't deny it. New York got some badass black women. No, it don't. They're black. There's an 80% chance that they'll be fat as fuck. And there you go. All right. So I guess I'm done. I guess I'm done. I've made my point. Made my point. Tried to counteract some of the damage that, piss panties have tried to bring to society. And I think I did a pretty good job of that. I think I did a pretty good job of that. So let's see here. Let's see here. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Let me click this. I'll go here after I leave. All right, let's see what she talking about. She got a fat woman on the screen. Damn, it's buffering. head over to Danika's, so I could see a real woman after dealing with, such unqualified pygmies, such unpickable. You're gonna check out Danica Marie on our channel. I suggest y'all do it too. I'd like to thank everybody that participated. I'd like to thank the managers and moderators, those who are listening silently, and those who participate in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. And this is Game Changer 00100. Game over. Peace.